In a previous post, I spoke about my daily practice, but I did not elaborate on the direct method for self-realization. And I did not mention that I also do about an hour to 90 minutes of yoga, asana, and pranayama every day. So overall, my daily practice sadhana or spiritual practice is about 3 to 4 hours. In it, that includes the nightly meditation, yoga nidra, and the excursion into realms of existence beyond death. But people have asked a lot recently about what is the direct method, as the teachings of Rupert Spira and Francis Lucille and Greg Good have become very popular. So the direct method is usually attributed to Atmanand Krishna Menon, but also to Ramana Maharishi, and recently to Nisargadatta Maharaj as well. Here are the basics of the direct method. 1, awareness is fundamental. The core of reality is not the me or the world of objects, but the pure awareness in which everything arises and disappears. That's principle number 1. Principle number 2, there are no objects, there are only experiences, and therefore no separation. Awareness precedes all objects and experiences, being their very ground. There's no fundamental separation between awareness and what it perceives. Number 3, self-inquiry. The central practice is self-inquiry, turning attention back onto oneself to recognize one's own nature. This involves questions like, who am I? What is awareness? Or simply the present I am feeling, the present sense of self. Okay, so there's no effort, there's no technique. The direct method emphasizes effortlessness and letting go of mental techniques. The emphasis is simply on resting in awareness, allowing it to reveal itself naturally. So that's the basic teaching of mindfulness. Direct method as opposed to mindfulness. So mindfulness focuses on observing thoughts and emotions with detachment, and while mindfulness can indirectly lead to an awareness of awareness, the direct method directly points to its immediate recognition. The direct method to awareness is a powerful yet deceptively simple approach to meditation. It offers a direct path to realizing the true nature of our being, bypassing the distractions of thoughts and emotions. By aligning with the guidance of teachers, the direct method can deepen our understanding of the practice of this profound method, turning from what we say the experiences that are coming and going to the awareness in which those experiences are happening. It is not about acquiring knowledge or mastering techniques, but simply resting in the ever-present awareness that is already who you are. So right now, as you're listening to me, just be aware of that which is listening. When perceiving anything, just be aware of that which is perceiving. When thinking about anything, just be aware of that which is thinking. While having a sensation in the body or experiencing the sensation of breath, turn to that in which that experience is happening. Just like the screen is a constant. The happenings on the screen, the characters on the screen, the objects on the screen, the movements on the screen are on the screen, and they are modulations of the screen. The programs come and go. The screen is the ever-present witnessing awareness. As we take this position, I am awareness, or just I am, at some point even the I am drops, and all that's left is pure consciousness, in which the whole universe is arising and subsiding as an experience of sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, which we then label as objects, as things, as movements, or as the entire universe, all happening in awareness. And that awareness is both you, the self of the individual, and the self of the universe. So I hope this clears up the practice of the direct method. I personally practice the direct method. I stay in that during the day. And of course, I also do mindful awareness, as I mentioned before, mantra practice. I just like the uh, whole combination of these practices, including the journeys into other realms of existence, which all exist in awareness alone. So I hope this is useful.